Welcome to Loremaster, the series where I will be completing the main storyline quests for every zone in World of Warcraft to obtain the Loremaster achievement. Starting off with Loremaster of the Eastern Kingdoms. In today's video we will be venturing into Westfall, so let's get into the video. Shortly after entering Westfall, we come across Lieutenant Horatio Lane and two Stormwind investigators investigating a broken cart surrounded by dead bodies. One of the Stormwind investigators determines that the people have been murdered and it occurred no more than 6 hours ago, also remarking what a shame it was that they killed old Blanchy the horse. After the conversation, we hand in the Filbro deed we found in Elwyn Forest to Horatio and complete the quest that sent us to Westfall. Horatio then asks us to speak with some nearby homeless people to see if we can gather any clues about the murders. The homeless people are reluctant to talk but offer some clues suggesting a wide range of possibilities from humans, the king, Murlocs or even Gnolls. Horatio thinks it's unlikely that the Gnolls or Murlocs are responsible for the murders, as the Filbros have been at the farm for more than 5 years. But as we have no other good leads, Horatio wants us to search for some clues from the nearby Riverpaw Gnolls and from the Murlocs along the coast. We collect a clue from the Gnolls and a clue from the Murlocs, then head back to Horatio to inform him of what we found. The clues we managed to gather from the Murlocs and Gnolls both seem pretty useless, leaving us back at square one with no leads. Horatio then suggests we go and speak to Two-Shoed Lou, one of Horatio's old confidential informants who happens to live at the Filbro's old pumpkin farm, to find out what he may know. Lou is reluctant to give us any information, but he does owe Horatio a favour, so he gives us a crate and tells us to head to the back of the Jangleode mine and hide in the crate. While we're here, we also pick up a quest to kill 12 kobold diggers and a quest to collect 6 coyote tails and 5 handfuls of fresh dirt for a Westfall mud pie. 5 fresh dirt collected and 6 coyote tails. At the end of the Jangleode mine, we get into the crate that Lou gave us and overhear a conversation between two individuals. One of the individuals appears to be an ogre named Glubtok, who is running an extortion operation from within the Jangleode mine. The other is a mysterious figure who Glubtok initially threatens to crush. The mysterious figure asks if Glubtok would dare cross that line and risk their life. The mysterious figure seems to think Glubtok would try to kill them and would fail, but presents Glubtok with a second option. Option 2 would be for Glubtok to join the mysterious figure and be showered with wealth and power. Glubtok understands he has two choices, to either be killed or to be rich and powerful. Obviously, Glubtok takes the second option, wealth and power. The mysterious figure then informs Glubtok he will be called upon when the dawning is upon them, whatever that means, and the conversation ends. Outside the mine, we finish killing the 12 kobold diggers. Back at the pumpkin farm, we hand in this quest and also hand in the ingredients for the Westfall mud pie. Talking to Lou again, he doesn't want to know anything of the conversation we overheard from the crate in the mine, but he informs us of a group of thugs at the back of the farmhouse who may have some interesting information for us. Lou's information seems good, and at the back of the barn we overhear a conversation between a group of thugs. They begin talking about a seemingly mysterious woman, with one of them saying that she wanted to thank the group of thugs for the job they did on the Filbros, probably referring to the murder we've been investigating. But before we can get any more information, we're spotted and have to dispatch the thugs. Returning back to the Filbros cottage, Two-Shoed Lou is dead on the ground and the people around are scared. Horatio and his investigators are already at the scene and are questioning the witnesses. One of the witnesses suggests that Lou died from natural causes. One of the investigators then responds that Lou has been shot with 2 bullets to the chest and had his shoes put on his head, so it couldn't be from natural causes. Horatio seems to think this was an execution, and whoever killed Lou was trying to send a message to anyone who would dare snitch on the criminals. After telling Horatio about the conversations we've overheard so far, he still thinks there's more to this, and tells us to go and speak to Farmer Saldine at the Saldines farm to the southeast. Farmer Saldine thinks we're in way over our head and tells us to get out of Westfall while we still can, but as we're here, he wants some help killing some harvest watchers that are occupying his fields. His wife Salma asks us to collect some okra, goatusk flanks and stringy flesh ripper meat to make a Westfall stew. And while we're killing the harvest watchers, we receive a harvest watcher heart, starting a quest to return the item to Farmer Saldine. There's the okra, goatusk flanks and stringy flesh ripper meat all collected, and the 10 harvest watchers killed. Back at the Saldine's farm, we give Salma the ingredients for her Westfall stew, and given the Harvest Watcher heart, Farmer Saldine leads him to tell us to go and use it on an overloaded harvest golem, and use that to kill some harvest reapers. Upon completing the Harvest Watcher quest, Farmer Saldine tells us he has no information to help us solve the murders, but tells us to speak to his wife inside who might have some information for us. Salma tells us a story that 4 years ago a little girl turned up at her house in the middle of the night and collapsed on the floor. She then later adopted her and named her Hope. She gives us the Westfall stew we gathered the ingredients for and sends us to speak with Hope in Sentinel Hill. To finish up at the Saldine's farm, we use the Harvest Watcher heart on the overloaded harvest golem and use it to destroy some harvest reapers. Back to Farmer Saldine to complete the quest, then off to Sentinel Hill to visit Hope. At Sentinel Hill, Hope asks us to use the Westfall stew to feed the homeless people around Sentinel Hill. Entering the Sentinel Hill Tower starts a conversation between Horatio Lane and Marshal Grian Stoutmantle. The Marshal gives us his full cooperation in solving the Philbros murder case. While we have dealt with the thugs responsible for the murders, the ringleader still remains at large. Horatio then asks about the worgen they have trapped in the stocks, to which the Marshal informs him that they caught the worgen slaughtering sheep in the countryside, and that he is aggressive and to keep our distance. After the conversation, we pick up a quest to kill some Riverpoor Gnolls that are attacking Sentinel Hill, a quest to report to Red Ridge Mountain, which we will get to in the next video, and a quest to recover the Gnoll attack orders. So, there's the Gnoll attack orders acquired, the Gnolls killed, and the homeless people around Sentinel Hill fed. The Gnoll attack orders mention somebody known as the Admiral, and Marshal Stoutmantle begins questioning their worgen captive about the Admiral, to which the worgen responds by threatening that the dawning is coming soon, and that this will be our end, so nothing learnt there. And completing the Attacking Gnolls quest starts a new quest to kill more Riverpoor Gnolls, this time some Mystics, Taskmasters, and their leader, Django Spothide. We also tell Hope that we've fed the homeless people around Sentinel Hill. Then Marshal Stoutmantle asks us to find Agent Kiernan near Mortwick's tower to the southeast, who has been tracking Helix Gearbreaker. Riverpoor Mystics, Taskmasters, and finally Django Spothide defeated. We find Agent Kiernan, and they inform us that Helix Gearbreaker is inside the tower and gives us a shrouding potion to sneak around the tower to find out what's hiding inside. Sneaking to the top of the tower, we come across Helix Gearbreaker having a conversation with the same shadowy figure we saw earlier talking to Glubtok. Helix informs them that the Gnoll attacks have failed, but it turns out the Gnolls were just a distraction anyway and their plan continues. They also mention the Admiral, who is planned to be freed during the dawning. The shadowy figure tells Helix that Judgment Day is upon them, and asks him to gather all the people so they may have one last meeting before the dawning. The location for this meeting is set to be Moonbrook. After the conversation, we head back to Agent Kiernan, who sends us back to inform Marshal Stoutmantle at Sentinel Hill. Marshal Stoutmantle then sends us to the camp they have set up near Moonbrook and tells us to speak to Captain Alpert there, to see if he knows anything about the goings-on in the area. While we're at Sentinel Hill, we also hand in the quest to kill the Gnolls before heading to Moonbrook. In Moonbrook, Captain Alpert tells us that the locals seem restless, but he doesn't know why, and asks us to recover some pamphlets and propaganda from the area. We find a secret journal, a copy of the Moonbrook Times, and killing some thugs starts a quest to collect some red bandanas. Finally, the information pamphlet and mysterious propaganda. We also collect all the red bandanas and head back to Captain Alpert. Completing the quest reveals that the information we've gathered is somehow related to Van Cleef, who has been dead for years. But before we can go deeper into that, the meeting we heard about from the shadowy figure is about to start in Moonbrook, so we need to head over there. The rally begins and the shadowy figure is on top of a cart in the middle of Moonbrook, and asks for all of the townsfolk to gather round and listen. The shadowy figure then begins giving a speech. Brothers, sisters, we are abandoned, the orphaned children of Stormwind. Our king sits atop his throne made of gold and shrugs at our plight. Meanwhile, our children die of starvation on these very streets. His war, not ours, cost us our livelihood. We paid for the Alliance's victory with our blood and the blood of our loved ones. The time has come, brothers and sisters, to stop this injustice. The government of Stormwind, of the Alliance, must be made accountable for what it has done to us. Today we are reborn. Today we take a stand as men and women, not nameless, faceless numbers. And then the shadowy figure disappears. The rally is over. Captain Alpert tells us we need to find the identity of the shadowy figure before it's too late, and thinks there may be another way, and tells us to speak with Thor Elias the shaman. Thor Elias gives us an incense burner and tells us to head into the Deadmines, where we may be able to see a vision of the past. In the Deadmines, after using the incense burner, we see a vision of the past from 5 years ago in the heart of the Deadmines, where we see a group of adventurers fighting and ultimately defeating Edwin Van Cleef. The adventurers proclaim victory for the Alliance, glory to Stormwind, and head to Sentinel Hill to inform Marshal Stoutmantle of Edwin Van Cleef's demise. After the adventurers have left, a child appears from the shadows and says "Daddy" to the dead body of Van Cleef. So it seems Van Cleef had a daughter who witnessed the adventurers killing her father. Back at Sentinel Hill, we inform Marshal Stoutmantle that Edwin Van Cleef had a daughter who witnessed her father's death. He seems shocked by this revelation and doesn't like the sound of it, and tells us to be on our guard. Hope then walks out of the tower exclaiming that we will burn for what we did. The Marshal is shocked. Hope states, was that what she was supposed to feel when she saw her father decapitated by the Marshal's henchmen? That hope is a cruel joke played upon us by a harsh and uncaring world. There is no hope, and then reveals she is in fact Vanessa Van Cleef. Now is the time for the Brotherhood to rise up, and finally the dawning day that we've heard so much about is upon us. Glubtok teleports in and Helix Gearbreaker appears. All of the guards, Horatio and his investigators as well as the Marshal are tied up. She releases the Worgen from the stocks and gives him his hat. It turns out the Worgen was the Admiral we'd heard about earlier. Vanessa tells us she will spare our life as we've apparently done a lot to help their cause without our knowledge, but warns us that the next time we meet will be as enemies. As she begins to walk off, Horatio asks why they had to kill the Fulbros, to which Vanessa responds they recognised her. The only people in the world who knew she even existed recognised her face from when she was an infant, and from then on she was compromised, so they had to die. Vanessa gives the instructions to leave nothing but ashes and to burn Sentinel Hill to the ground. After they leave, Marshal Stoutmantle tells us to rush to Stormwind and tell the king everything we know and what has happened. In the Stormwind Keep, we talk with Grand Admiral Jess Tirith, who informs us that a battalion of soldiers will be deployed to Westfall at once. The threat of the Defias Brotherhood is urgent, as they won't stop until Stormwind is burnt to the ground. We then get sent back to Sentinel Hill to inform Marshal Stoutmantle that the forces are on their way from Stormwind. The Marshal seems upset that 5 years of work has been destroyed and that they have a long hard journey ahead of them. He tells us to leave the plan to him and sends us to report to Lakeshire and Red Ridge Mountain. We will get to that in the next video. For now, we have completed the storyline of Westfall, got the achievement, and that will be the end of the video. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to see future videos of our journey to Red Ridge and beyond. Thanks again for watching and see ya!